Welcome to another edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush. So it's the final episode of 2021. I cannot believe it. And another Christmas day is upon us. And first off, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas to you and yours. And if we don't get to talk before this, Happy New Year. They'll be airing another episode right on New Year's Day. But I can't wait to see more of your ugly Christmas sweater pictures and matching pajama bottoms and pajama pictures as you open up all your gifts. It also got me to start to think, when did these traditions actually begin of the wearing of these Christmas sweaters? And to be honest, the pajamas as well. I can't think of any other day when we wear these pajamas, right? We wear these matching pajamas even, which is even rarer to begin with. So I figured I would do some research, kind of like my Christmas present to you. First, we're going to tackle the ugly sweater and its origin. So over the last decade, the ugly Christmas sweater has firmly embedded itself in Yuletide culture, although I don't know why. You know the one, it's that woolly pullover, usually in different shades of red, white, and green, often with the questionable fabric. It might have some Christmas-inspired motif on it, a snowman, a reindeer, whatever. Candy canes, you name it, it's been on it. If you really want to get freaky, you could put on the 3D pom-pom or even the jingle bells. Now, it's quickly become an essential part of the holidays. You see all of the office parties, all the pictures on your timeline and social media. You've seen it all. And it's really been something essential like Christmas lights and, of course, wrapping paper as well with this as well. So it's kind of a nod to the 1950s when holidays, growing commercialization began, and they used to refer to them as jingle bell sweaters back in the 1950s. Even TV personalities got into the act, notably Andy Williams, the crooner, if you remember him. Most people are like, who the heck is Andy Williams? But it wasn't until the 1980s that the item hit mainstream. The shift came thanks to pop culture, to great movies like Christmas Vacation with Clark Griswold. And of course, they turned the sweater into that endearing expression of cheer. The snowflake sweaters were considered cool, but they radiated Yule and were spotted at office parties on Christmas Day. Now, it did eventually lose popularity in the 1990s, but because of social media, it is back again. Now, the other thing that is filling up your timeline on this Christmas Day is, of course, the pajama pictures, right? Those matching pajama pictures. All these things have to be perfect on Christmas Day. And, you know, the matching pajamas are actually a thing now. And according to someone at the Great Wolf Lodge in Mason, Ohio, Jason Arthur, he's the regional director of aquatics, families wear them to meals and they wear them throughout the holiday season. So kind of unusual. I wouldn't think I would want to wear these pajamas. We started to see it growing more and more each year. And, you know, one large family that comes back, they have a lot of comments about their matching pajamas, and I'm sure they look wonderful. Matching clothes is a way for families to strengthen their bonds and announce their, connectedness. And of course, with everything going on with COVID, we've been in Zoom meetings and all different kinds of things. So these pajamas have kind of a way for everybody to get involved. So when did they originate? Well, it's hard to say, but the brands currently selling them, one has been doing it the longest, and that's Hannah Anderson, an Oregon-based children's apparel company founded by a Swedish couple in 1983, and they began with mail order catalogs, and in 1990 opened up its first brick and mortar store. So now you're a little more educated than you were before on the whole sweaters and matching PJs. And of course, for all you YouTube fans that are watching this, I am actually wearing an ugly Christmas sweater that my daughter bought me. A Merry Christmas, and it's a South Park version. So it's like, picture Eric Cartman, Merry Christmas, you asshole. That's kind of the way I bring it. With that being said, it's time to bring on not one, but two guests for the week. They are from my hometown of North Bergen, New Jersey. In fact, I met these young ladies back in the 5th grade, but it's kind of amazing because they haven't aged and I have. Let's welcome from St. Louis, Missouri, We have Alessandra Abate, and still from New Jersey, Lori Hoyt. So let's bring them on and get them all kind of going. I want to unmute you guys and give you kind of a little better run. But what do you guys think about the whole sweater thing?
I love it. I think it's hilarious.
I think it's one of those things where
Got a pair of pajamas too that have flamingos on them.
Yeah.
You know,
trees and snow, and they've got scarves on. It's crazy.
I'm sorry I didn't wear a Christmas sweater because, you know, I mean, Len, you look great. So we should have had or we could have worn our matching pajamas if we had really planned this appropriately. But which I've never done, but I'm all for the matching PJs. Let's do it. Yeah.
I would agree, Lori. And I think, first of all, let me wish you guys a Merry Christmas. I hope you got everything what you wanted under the tree this morning and everything was good, because it's important to get the gifts that you really want, because otherwise the next day we got to start returning stuff. And I've never been one to want to return gifts. I feel like if you get me something, I don't like it, I just never wear it, or I just put it in the drawer and I forget about it. So I don't know. What are your thoughts of the gifts giving season? Alessandra, you'll go first.
Well, yeah, I pretty much do the same thing. I don't like returning things. I hate waiting online. I'm very impatient, so it's just going to go sit in a drawer. Or I might think of this from now and say, oh yeah, they got me that. And that's pretty much, I might even regift. I hate to say it, but somebody might like it.
Well, exactly. Now, Lori, have you ever regifted? Because I think I have.
I don't think I've regifted, and I do not think I've returned a gift. So, listen, it's Christmas is about giving, right? It's and about being together. Most importantly, it's about being together. But I've always been very appreciative over every gift that I've gotten, and I've always found some use for it. So yeah, I can't say I've regifted. Sorry, Len.
No, I have in some ways. Like you get a bottle of wine or something, and then you're going to another place and you forget the gift, and you're like, oh, I got this bottle of wine that I haven't drank yet. I'm just gonna grab it and bring it.
Oh, does that count as regifting? Okay, I've done that. I've done that. Right, okay,
yes.
Yeah, I have done that. So
well.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lori, you're too perfect.
No. If that counts as regifting, I've actually brought wine that I've gotten, but everything comes out of my wine refrigerator, so it comes from somewhere. So it's like you're going somewhere. It's like grab a bottle of wine.
Yeah, I mean, I think people like it. It depends on everything that's going on, but first off, so again, Christmas, we got New Year's coming up. The holidays are one of those things where I always feel like after everything's all said and done, January 2nd is even more depressing because everything goes back to somewhat. But this has been a crazy time. But I want to go back a little. Yes, crazy time. I want to go back because I had a couple of episodes on here on Len's Burning Bush where we did a back in my day episode. And part of the reason I wanted to bring you guys on was I felt I brought my friends George Coronado, Mario Miglietta, George Celentano, who you guys probably know, you graduated high school with. Mm-hmm. So I brought them on because those were so I met you guys first, really, because I met you guys in the fifth grade way back when, before Moses parted the Red Sea. But because when I moved from New York to New Jersey, it was kind of like the rite of passage when you had to move to New Jersey. It's kind of like the way it was. But when I moved, I met you guys. But I also, what had happened was, so I'll tell you guys a story now because I wasn't allowed to say it when I was in school, but I moved into a place that was on 75th Street in North Bergen, and I lived down at the bottom of the hill near Tunnelly. And my parents we were renting, and they sold the house like 6 months after we moved in. So unfortunately, I had to move, and I moved to 78th Street near Broadway, between Broadway and Park. And Park Avenue. And the problem with that is that was in the Robert Fulton School District.
Yeah.
And I had already committed to going to where I was going. I didn't want to be in my third school in a year. So I just said, Mom, I just want to go to this school. So we made up an address and we stayed in the Horace Mann. So I did a little something you can't do now, but I did back
No.
then. And I wanted to stay because I enjoyed, the time I had in Horace Mann. And of course, I met you guys, and look at us, some 30, 40 years later, we're talking again. But Lori, you remember those times, and it was different than it is now. But I think, we had fun in, those times.
We had a lot of fun, and let me start off by saying I think Alessandra and I can both say that we're glad you kind of made that little fib and got to Horace Mann. So
absolutely.
That was a good thing, and I think you ended up where you were supposed to be. I lived right across the street from Horace Mann. There was no sneaking for me. It's like I couldn't even take a sick day. It's like the teachers were watching. It was like, we see you. Come on.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, I mean, but good times in that school. It was really good times.
What about you, Alessandra? What do you remember?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know. It was so different than it is now. Like I watched my daughter grow up, and all the things that we did as kids, she couldn't do. Like we hung out and stayed out. Nobody knew where we were. There were no cell phones, no beepers, no nothing. And we just stayed out. And nobody was worried and no one was concerned. Unless, of course, the lights came on and you weren't home yet, then you were in trouble.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Yeah, but with our kids, I guess things changed, and, we moved into St. Louis. It was a little different. We didn't know anybody here. So my daughter was in 3rd grade, I think, when we moved here, and she couldn't do those things, go out on her bike for hours. No, we don't do that.
Well, that's the thing. Growing up where we did, I mean, Alessandra, I remember, walking around the corner just to your place. And I remember we took our bikes out everywhere. We went ice skating in Hudson County Park, if you remember those days. And we would schlep up in the freezing cold with our ice skates in our hands. And I can't remember if that little building by the lake, there was a little a lodge by the lake where I can't remember if that was open at the time. But I remember we used to get cold, but it was so much fun.
We did. We had a blast. Yeah, it was just different, and I loved it there.
I loved it too. Good, Lori. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and no, we didn't have cell phones, but we knew when our parents were screaming out the door, and you can hear them 3 blocks away, you had to get home.
Right.
It's true that, I mean, we would, again, I lived the kind of a different life because I would go to school at Horace Mann and I would have to walk home. So my father would drive me to school every morning after we moved. And then I had to walk all the way home, which was a pretty good walk. But then, I lived that second life where I had second set of friends, which, and we talked about it on the show about how great it was that, they took me in also. So I had the best life because I had, friends from the school and I had friends outside of the school. And we talked about it on the show that all of us graduated from different high schools from where we were. And I even moved even after that, after 8th grade, and I went to a different high school than you guys. I started out the same. But one thing I wanted to bring up, which was really cool. So we hadn't talked, for a long time. And then thank goodness there's one good thing about social media that it does. We happened to be in a situation where I was coming into town for work, and Alessandra was in from St. Louis, and we all met at Houlihan's in Secaucus. And this was, I want to say 2012, 13. I can't remember exactly the year because everything seems to run into each other. But what was amazing about this, we got Tina from school that came, and it was us, and I had a friend that came, and we all met, and it was like, I felt like, again, time had not passed. And we had I swear, what was that? No. Probably 30 plus years that we hadn't even spoken, right? I mean, at least. it's kind of
Yep.
interesting how that works. And I think that's where
At
friendships,
least.
yeah, and that's where friendships are. It's kind of interesting. People say, well, you can't pick your family, but you can pick your friends. And I do like that because
Mhm.
you choose to be friends with people. But since that meeting, I would say that we are close again, which is really nice.
Hmm.
And I know Lori and I
Yes.
have talked to Sandra and I, we'll text. I mean, maybe it's not the way, we were when we were in school, but you could still you text or do the virtual happy hours and stuff like that. But I just enjoy it, and I wouldn't trade any of it. I love you guys still, and it's great to have you come on today, and especially in the Christmas season. We're getting a little little what you call it. I'm getting a little. My eyes are
You're
tearing.
getting a little
Okay, a little bit,
teary-eyed.
a little teary eyed. Yeah, as it's kind of that way. But no, it's great that we can connect this way, and even now that we're not in the same room, you're Alessandra, you're in St. Louis, and you're in
Mhm.
New Jersey, and I'm in Kentucky, and we're actually look like we're in the same room. It's kind of how technology it's good for something.
Right.
Technology has saved us in so many ways. But you're right. And there's one thing you can say about the friendships that you make as when you're really young and you're children, you make these friendships. And when you meet up again 30 years later, it's as if you just picked up where you left off. And
Absolutely.
I mean, really, that's something really, really special. And we've been fortunate, and I think growing up what we did, I mean, there's a bunch of us who still have that. I mean, it's everyone just kind of, I mean, these friendships are unique, but we're that rare breed that it's like everyone just gets together and you just enjoy each other's company. All differences aside, it's everyone just gets along. And something nice about our home and our
Absolutely.
hometown, we really do that. I mean, Len, I don't know if you've gotten there for any of the reunions, but we've done these great reunions where it's just, people just get together, and it's just, again, it's like you just went into it was like a flashback of time.
It's amazing the people that we graduated grammar school back then, right? 8th grade. And you look at
Yeah.
that, and some of the people went to high
Mhm.
school, some, went to different high schools. But all of them today, it's like, I'm friends with a lot of them now on social media, on Facebook and stuff like that. But we still communicate. And
Mhm.
it's really, it's funny how you could say you're friends with people you were, wow, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. But that is really
Hmm.
the most impressionable
Right.
time, right? Alessandra,
Yeah.
you're growing up at that point. We don't know what the heck we're doing.
Yeah. Exactly. We were so lost and just we thought, I guess well later on I guess we thought we just knew everything, but
Yeah.
we were street savvy, I guess, in a way. And at 8 years old, we were just doing whatever we wanted to do. And by the time we got to 8th grade, it was we were just smarter than the average bear, I guess. we
Right,
just
you are, Yogi.
but yeah, and we developed all these friendships that just seem to last forever. I mean, I'm still my very first friend in grammar school because I moved there when I was in 3rd grade, and we're still really good friends. And Tina was my second friend in grammar
Uh,
school, and we're still the best of friends. And sometimes we go a year without talking, but we'll just pick up right where we left off like nothing happened. It's amazing. It's
I would
awesome.
say, and I would also say that we were pretty good friends in grammar school, but I would say
mhm.
that it's better now. Like, just because we're adults and we
Yeah.
talk, and I would say that it's amazing how we could actually be better friends now than we were back then. It's fantastic. And I like to tell the story because I coached baseball for a lot of years here in Kentucky. And one of the things that I tried to instill in the kids when I was going through the years, I did about 9 years. And I started them when they were 5 to wait till they were 14. And what was interesting, I told my kids, said, one thing that you forget about the wins, forget about anything, but just remember the people that you played with. And I can remember the people that I played with in Little League and Babe Ruth. And all those things. And if you can have that relationship and you know, you might not see them all the time, but 20 years from now, you might not understand it. Now, my son, just like Lori's son Cole, is 21, right? And I tried, and he has a friend that he met in the 6th grade. They were bowling. They were bowling together, and they just went, like, they did a trip to Pittsburgh together before the holidays to go out. And, you know, he's in the friend is in the military, and he didn't get to see him as much as he'd like, but they've been friends, you know, for a good number of years. And I don't know if it's the equivalent, but at least he's getting that same kind of, because friendship for life, you know, when you meet somebody like we did back in the 5th and 6th and 7th grade, I think, you know, anybody that's listening out there, certainly, you know, have your opinion, you know, are you friends with people that you were? I actually think that those friendships in grammar school were almost better than the ones in high school, right? I have good friends from high school, but I think the ones that when you were that younger, you just had a little bit more, like I said, growing up to do. Because by the time you were in high school,
I think we were freer then, you know, and how do I express that? In our thoughts, you know, so we weren't already jaded. We put it that way.
No,
so we
I agree with that.
Accepted all of us. They're our friends. That's it. And when you get to high school, things change. You know, things just change. Cliques change and groups change, and it's what are they wearing and what are they looking at. And in grammar school, it didn't matter. We didn't care.
No, we didn't.
As long as people were nice to you, you were nice to them, and that was it. And you were friends. And I think those friendships should, you know, really do last forever.
I mean, you both know the group that I hang out with. You know, you know, all the group of girls that, you know, my elementary school, and Alessandra, you were friends with them too. I mean, I guess I could wholeheartedly say, they know me the best. Like when we, even now, like they know me the best because they watched me grow up. And, you know, even when I will try and deny it, I will deny it. No, they know me the best. So
I've seen the pictures. You can't deny it.
It's out there, but you know, I would listen. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing at all. I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful. I mean, sitting here and talking to both of you and the people that you know, the people that I grew up with. I mean, that is something really we can all say we're grateful for. Those friendships, and it doesn't get much better than that, honestly.
It doesn't. And I think people, that's, you know, and again, this time of the year, it's even more important because we know we all go through things, right? And it's just, sometimes you just get a text or you get, you know, hey, hope you're doing okay, or those type of things. And it just makes your day, right? To speak to people that you know that long and that many years, because, you know, you meet other people throughout your life, and some people you know, are keepers, right? And some, let's be honest, we could do without some of the negative stuff, but this is positive, right? This is the stuff that we're here to help each other, and we all hope that we do well. We've all made mistakes in our lives, but we've gotten to a point now where we're unfortunately a little bit older, but we're a lot wiser, I think, too. We've got a lot of things that we're all doing, and it gives me that warm feeling. I'm a little sentimental these days. I don't know about you guys, but as I get older, I kind of like looking back at the old days. I really do.
Absolutely. I didn't understand it, I think, when I was younger, how people would do that. And now I get it. You know, things were just different, and it was better, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's because I live 1,000 miles away from my hometown, but
yeah, I'm 600. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
But you know how that feels, that you want to run into somebody and there's nobody to run into because you don't know these people. And I've lived here for 20 years, and, you know, so it's different.
Yeah, Lori, you've been blessed because you've kind of stayed around a little bit. I mean, I know you're not still living in North Bergen, but, you know, you stayed around in the proximity of the area, which gives you that a little bit more closely. But I would say this, though, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I mean, we lived in when I got married in 95, we still stayed in the area, and we stayed till 2001. And I would say I see my family more now by the time I travel than I did when I was actually living in a closer proximity, which is kind of weird because I think I make it happen now. Whereas before you take for granted that they're going to be there, right? Would you say that it's not as like you think they're always going to be there and you could just go whenever you want, but you never do, right?
We never do. And it's interesting that you say that because yes, I stayed in New Jersey. I never run into anyone. And I'm still in that, small area. I don't run into anyone. And it's interesting because everyone that lives in New Jersey, I maybe see them, once a year, twice a year. And it's because we have to actually carve out the time to do it. Because listen, life is hard. I mean, life gets busy. We're raising families, we're working, we have responsibilities. It's hard to make that time, but you do have to make it. But yeah, even it's funny that I would think that I would like run into so many people, but I don't. But I'm fortunate that I do get to see them at least twice a year. Len, we need to get you to New Jersey, and Alessandra, you need to come to New Jersey. So hopefully
I'm
that will
going to be
happen
there in
one day.
January. I think I'm going to be there in January. January,
Awesome.
Len, January.
All right.
January.
Well, I'm getting on a plane. We're going because I don't want to drive in the winter, from here.
No,
we're not driving, right? You're not driving either, right? Okay, good. Because that's the one thing about the winter that. Yeah, exactly. I think that, and it's interesting, now with New Year's Eve and all this stuff, and unfortunately, I just saw. I don't know if you guys saw this. I haven't heard yet officially, but is New York still having the ball drop where people are going to be there, or are they kind of what they're doing? Because I just saw where Fox has a show, New Year's Eve Toast and Roast 2022, and they've actually canceled the type of show they were going to do because of of things picking up again with the coronavirus, and it's upsetting. It's like, are people going to be in Times Square again this New Year's Eve? I don't even know this week.
Well, I have to tell you, I have not heard anything as of yet. My guess is maybe they're still making that assessment since they do have another couple of days. But I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you have, Alessandra. I don't know.
No, I haven't heard anything.
I know Broadway shows are shutting down through the season. The Christmas Spectacular, which everyone loves to see in New York, that closed early.
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is. It's one of those things where we can't fix that. But one thing I wanted to ask you guys, and I've always, it's kind of been a rant I've done, which I don't understand. A lot of things I don't understand in life. One thing is, why would you ever want to be in Times Square on New Year's Eve, standing in line and freezing your kishkas off, right? Freezing everything off and not being able to go to the bathroom. I'm like, I'm out. I'm sorry. I don't need to do this. I don't know about you guys. Have you ever gone?
No, I have not. And no desire to. No desire.
Yeah.
I almost went once, but we ended up in a bar instead. And that was probably
better choice. Better choice.
We were headed there, but the line, there was just so many people. We said, you know what? We're just going downtown and the hell with it.
Listen, the only thing you'll catch me doing in the cold is standing on a line to a ski lift. That's about it. Everything else, no, thank you.
I don't like to stand in line for anything personally, but one thing that's kind of interesting, another pet peeve of mine was the Thanksgiving Day parade. I think I went as a little kid. My father took me as a little kid, but I never went back, and I don't regret it one bit. I don't like parades anyway, and I don't understand why you'd want to stand in line when you can watch it on TV.
Well, I've actually marched in that parade, so.
Okay, well, there you go.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it was cold. It was really cold that day. It was terrible. I did go back 2 more times as an adult, and I had a really good time because I was there with a bunch of friends, and then we found a really good restaurant. We ended up eating an early Thanksgiving dinner there, and then went to my boyfriend at the time's parents' house and my house, and we ate a lot that day. But it was a lot of fun. We did have fun. But yeah, I don't recommend it at our age.
No. No.
You got to be in your 20s. You got to be.
I think I may have made it an hour into watching the parade, and then it was always on to March of the Wooden Soldiers. So that was like the Thanksgiving staple. You had to watch. You had to watch the March of the Wooden Soldiers. So.
Absolutely.
So, of course, with all the Christmas movies, I'll have to ask each of you, what is your favorite Christmas movie, Alessandra? What is the one that you will watch every year, no matter what?
Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, I like that one.
Without a doubt.
It's a good one. Lori, what about you?
Okay, this might not go over very well. Okay, so
That's okay.
The Grinch.
Really Christmas? No, I don't watch The Grinch. Actually, the one movie that I watch every year, which is kind of a Christmas movie. Well, there are two, and they're both, I guess, kind of like girly movies. But The Holiday and the Family Stone. So, but that's like in my that's my later years. If you're talking about when I was younger, it would be like The Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yes,
and Rudolph. Like those are like the little 30-minute ones. Like those are the ones I really, really love. And then I guess the all-time favorite that everybody loves is, I mean, you have to watch Elf.
Oh yeah,
right. You have to watch Elf. Christmas Story. I was not keen on the Christmas Story.
I think that was a boy's story. It wasn't.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Really
that we
relate
didn't
to
like
girls.
it.
He would have had a little sister, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I was never keen on
just
that.
Some stupid boy.
Well,
what was his name? Who was it? Ralphie?
Ralphie. Yeah, Ralphie.
Ralphie.
Ralphie. Yeah. Well, I think that movie was one of those that didn't do very well when it first came out, and then it certainly kind of went through all of it. One thing you didn't bring up in one movie that I discovered later in life over the last 20 years, and that's It's a Wonderful Life. I never bought into the hype growing up, but once I started to watch it, now it's like a staple every Christmas Eve. We watch, get some eggnog with a little bourbon, and we watch It's a Wonderful Life, and I usually fall asleep, but I love, I love
That's a classic. That's a beautiful classic. It's a really good story.
Yeah.
It is. It's funny. So I want to, it leads me to this definition of a Christmas movie. And I know everybody always brings up Die Hard, and I want to say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And the reason
it's a Christmas movie.
It is because here's the definition of a Christmas movie. If the movie takes place on or about Christmas, then it's a Christmas movie. I would say Die Hard is more of a Christmas movie than It's a Wonderful Life. And I'll probably get a lot of fan mail on this, but and the reason I say that is because It's a Wonderful Life does have a portion of it at the end when the whole Christmas scene, right? When every angel gets a wings and, the whole thing, right? But Die Hard is actually the whole reason for the movie is they go to this party on Christmas Eve.
Yep.
So forget this argument. Die Hard, it is not officially Christmas until Hans Gruber falls from the building. I think that's what.
Yippee-ki-yay!
Yay! Exactly.
Yippee-ki-yay.
I love it. One last.
I almost finished that.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. We're a little bit of a family show, but I wanted to bring one other story that I found since it's Christmas, it kind of warmed my heart. And I know did you guys watch The Sopranos? I would imagine you did, right? The Sopranos.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Always.
James Gandolfini has been gone for a bunch of years now, unfortunately, a treasure. But there was a story I found in the Post this week. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they say that how great and how generous of a man James Gandolfini was. But this interesting story, he's the late star of The Sopranos, looked out for his fellow castmates and gifted them, listen to this, $33,000 each after an HBO contract dispute. Now, this comes from the book or the Tinderbox HBO Ruthless Pursuit of a New Frontier. It outlines that Gandolfini signed a contract that would pay him $5 million a season. HBO doubled his salary after the third season, aired in 2001. And he said that, and this is according even to Albright, Chris Albright, who produced the show for HBO, and he said that he wrote $33,000 checks for each of his co-stars in the book, and Steve Sharippa, who had the Talking Soprano podcast recently, but he mentioned this as well, and how great of a guy is that? I mean,
that's great. That's really nice.
Well, he felt that they weren't working because of the dispute, and people needed money, and he just went ahead and he did that a lot. And we miss James Gandolfini because I love.
And he was a Jersey boy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to enjoy it. One thing that I'll bring up for you girls, because you got upset about the whole Christmas Story movie being all the boy stuff. I wanted to bring up something I found out this week, and I don't know if you. I guess what's his name was filling in for Ellen this week. He was Deal or No Deal. Why can I? Howie Mandel. There you go. All right.
Mandel.
Okay.
He was filling in for Ellen this week, and he had on Mel C from the Spice Girls. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you were Spice Girls fans, but apparently there might be some kind of a reunion coming out for the Spice Girls. So I wanted to give you that.
Oh.
Do you care?
I was not a big. I was not a big Spice Girl person, but I know Mel because she was a judge on what was that show?
That was America's Got Talent, or
America's Got Talent. It might have been America's Got Talent,
or what's the one with Simon? The original one with Simon.
And isn't that the one that Howie's on too? I don't know.
American Idol.
So.
Oh, he's on American Idol. I'm so confused. There's just too many of them.
The America's Got Talent and everybody. Meanwhile, the Spice Girls possibility to be back together again, and I thought you would enjoy that. But anyway, I was wrong. Sometimes you throw stuff out there and it sticks, and otherwise it doesn't. But see, if I would have been part of the Spice Girls right now, I'm kind of Old Spice, right? That's kind of what it is now. I did. I actually had a show a couple of weeks ago where I did a show called None of Your Business. It was about relationships. When was it a good time after someone passes, or when your dog passes, to get another dog? And people on social media go crazy. Oh my God, it's too soon. And they get all upset, and my thing is it's none of your business. So of course I read the lyrics to Salt and Pepper, None of Your Business. So that's why I called myself Old Spice. I figured you'd enjoy that. You got to go back and listen to that episode. It was a couple of weeks ago with Evie Fisher. So that go back and listen to that. But ladies, I could talk to you all night, all day, and but it is Christmas, and I know you got things to do other than to sit on the the computer with me. So we will. But I appreciate it.
This was a special treat. This really, really was. And what better time to do it than on Christmas?
Absolutely.
So we'll make I don't like to make New Year's resolutions.
I miss you guys.
But I miss you too. And I will say this. I don't like to make resolutions for New Year's. I don't believe in any of that stuff. But let's try to at least do a reunion in person in 2022. Okay? Can we do that?
Absolutely. We can certainly try. Absolutely. I would love it.
Well, let's do that. Let's plan it.
I'll definitely have to go to Jersey at least once. So yeah. I have to go see my daughter. So
and Alessandra, I would say that no one is coming to Kentucky or Missouri, so we are probably having to go to Jersey, which is fine.
Actually, with me. No, wait. Didn't I say I would plan a trip to Kentucky? I did.
That's right. There was bourbon involved, and I totally understand.
There was definitely bourbon. Yes, I'm coming for the. Well, he got upset because I talked about the bourbon. He's like, "You're not coming to see me." I'm going, "Well, yes, but there is bourbon.
There is bourbon. Yeah,
there's bourbon.
Absolutely." Well, my niece just moved to Kentucky, so I told you that, Len, the other day. So I'm definitely going to be going to Kentucky soon because she's getting married and having a baby and all kinds of good stuff. So I'll be making several trips to Kentucky.
Well, good. And just so you know, I come to Jersey to see you guys, but of course I got to have pizza and I got to have a bagel with a schmear. Of course.
I have to have a bagel.
Bagel with a schmear, although the cream cheese shortage has me a little down, but we do have cream cheese here, so we are good to go at least for Christmas anyway. It's a Christmas.
So what is your
Good.
what is your go to then for pizza in New Jersey? Do you have one?
Yes. When I was in high school, I went to Cliffside Park High School, and there was
That's
a
right.
place called Vincent's on Anderson Avenue, and that is
Yes, I
the
think.
best pizza. And then there was one other place, and my friend George Celentano was a big proponent of this one, and it was father and son pizza. But if you ever called them on the phone, it would just be fa son when they'd answer the phone, and then it would always be how much time is for the pizza. It'd be like 40 minutes, just basically
Everything is 40 minutes. And I
Yeah.
do remember father and son pizza. And if I'm correct, I think that's where we used to order from. So I will have to check on that. But I do remember father and son.
Now, one thing that I remember, and I forgot to bring this up earlier about our time in grammar school, which was very interesting, and it will never happen again. We used to get lunch from 12 to 1, and we would go off we would not be inside. 5th grade to 8th grade, we were walking around and we would go places, because I would go to Rose's Deli, and you can get a sauce sandwich.
Sauce sandwich.
Sauce
Sure.
sandwich for a quarter. Yep.
and then you could either go to Soul Pizza, or there was De Palma's, I think it was on 87th, and you could get. And I would always tell my son this, and it's kind of like it's become a real joke. Back in my day, it was 2 slices and a Coke for $1 for lunch. And my son's like, "Oh, back in your day, you had 2 slices and a Coke for $1." He'd always bring that up now. So
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
But do you remember there used to be a little candy shop on Kennedy Boulevard as well. So I remember we used to go to Soul's, and then we would walk the other way, and there was always that little candy shop, and you would just take all of your change, and they would count out the little Swedish fish for you. It was like a penny each. So you'd have to get them like, I'd like 100, please. 100 fish, and they'd have to actually count out with their hands. So we're talking germs now. Here we are. We're talking germs. With their hands, just
We survived. We ate dirt, and we did everything, and now it's okay. We do it. But I just found it amusing that you think about, because when my kids went to school, they weren't allowed to leave anything. They had to eat in the cafeteria. We were sitting there. It's different now because we don't live on a main. There's a main road, and they're going to school, and they're not going to walk. But I mean, I walked to school in the Bronx, and I walked to school in New Jersey. I mean, it's just you had the chance. So we had an hour to go, but we had to be back in an hour. But there was plenty of places to go get a little slice of pizza, or we didn't bring lunch, right? I mean, sometimes
I lived across the street. I went home for lunch most of the time.
Yeah, sometimes I went home, or sometimes we went down to the park. Remember, we used to go down to the park.
Yeah,
go down to the park and
go
hang out
go on
there.
the swings, and just listen. It was really nice, and the kids don't get a chance to experience that. It was nice getting out and getting fresh air and kind of detaching from your day.
And then
we had good food, and the food was always good around there. I mean,
and that's why when I come back to Jersey, that's what I miss. I don't miss the prices of the houses, and I don't miss the prices of the taxes. But there is. I always like to say there's a tax on everything, because if you live in California, you got the beach tax, because it is a tax, because good weather and beach. Florida. It's not as bad, but you got other places in the United States where, New York and New Jersey, there's a tax for the good food. You don't get that for free. You got to pay, to live there. It's expensive. But anyway, well, you can like Lens Burning Bush on Facebook at Lens Burning Bush. You can follow along at Lens Burning Bush on Twitter. You can also see us now on YouTube. So make sure, if you're listening on YouTube, to like, subscribe. What's the ding dong diddle? I don't even know what those things are on YouTube, but you can do that as well. You can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean. I don't know why all these places have picked up, they get the show, but all of them are on there. You can even ask Alexa to play Lens Burning Bush. And when you do that, make sure you say Lens Burning Bush podcast, because if you just say Lens Burning Bush, I don't know what is going to come up on that. So just make sure you do that. But 89 episodes before, this is episode 90. 90 weeks I've been doing this.
Good for you.
you can go back and binge them
That's
all
awesome.
during this holiday season.
Congratulations, Lynn.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks to you guys. You're awesome. Stay awesome. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Thanks to Alessandra Abate, Lori Hoyt. It is a pleasure to see you guys. And thank you for joining. And we'll have you on again because I think people need to know. And if they have any, questions for Jersey people, we could do like an episode where we just take, we could take questions and all that stuff. But thank you, ladies. I'll be back with another episode of Len's Burning Bush in 2022. I can't believe it, on Saturday. But thank you and so long.
Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
Len. Merry Christmas,
Thanks,
everyone.
Lynn.